Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Jerry Sansing with another edition of South Texas News and Reviews. It's April 30th, 2017. The times for this are going to be Wednesday at 8 p.m. and Thursday at 6 p.m. That's on Public Access Channel 10. My email, if you want to get a hold of me and Grouse, is gsansing@gmail.com. Also available on YouTube. If you just go in and put Gerald Sansing in, you can pick up this issue, this segment, plus the many of them in the past. Also, you can get the What's Going On in Corpus Christi, Texas, which is a Taxpayers Association show. I am the president, and I do that. I host that show. Anyway, I'll be right back. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's see. The recorder's going. The lights are on. I'm gonna go take my seat next to these beautiful pink roses. They're dedicated, of course, to Miss Lynn and Miss April 23, two extremely fine ladies. Anyway, they're great. Okay, just want to give you an update that on June the 4th through December the 2nd, these shows will be airing at different times. We have a lottery every 6 months to pick the new time, so everybody gets a shot at the good, the bad, and the ugly. And let's see, starting that week of June the 4th, this one, South Texas News and Reviews, is going to air on Sunday evening from 9:30 to 10:30 p.m. and then Wednesday at 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock p.m. The Taxpayers show, which I do, the What's Going On in Corpus Christi, will be Monday at 9 o'clock to 9:30 p.m. and then Wednesday at 10 o'clock to 10:30 p.m. So we'll join that one, and then The Voice of Ed Bennett, which is another one that a friend of mine does, Mr. Ed Bennett, will air Sunday at 8:30 to 9 p.m. and then Wednesday from 5 to 5:30 p.m. That's The Voice of Ed Bennett. He's a regent at Del Mar College. Okay, now we, me, I guess, as Taxpayers Association president, had our Taxpayers Association meeting, the general membership. It's held twice a year, in October and then in April. And I sent out a notice that, that if you want to and care about the Taxpayers Association and want to chime in with the voices around here, we've done some pretty, fine things, I think, for the taxpayers in general. It started many years ago with Mr. Joe O'Brien. He has now passed away several years ago, and then Jack Gordy took over for a long time, and then he has relinquished his presidency to me. Jack has remained as my top vice president, and we've done a lot of good things, I think, for the community, and we had an excellent meeting yesterday. We had several of the people that were from city council and one running for mayor that showed up, and then we had three of the Del Mar College Board of Regents members that showed up, and I'll discuss some of their topics in a minute. But if you want to email me at gsansing@gmail.com and you're interested in voicing your opinion about anything I say on this show and or what's going on in Corpus Christi, the Taxpayers event, and if you want any information on the Corpus Christi Taxpayers Association, then feel free to contact me. That's gsansing@gmail.com, and my telephone number is area code 361-855-7051, and I'm usually in classes during the day and half the evening, so leave a message and I will get back with you. Okay? Now, several things on the agenda of the taxpayers meeting yesterday I have discussed. I did welcome the guests and the elected officials that came, and then I addressed the call for interested board members. If you want to be on the board of the Taxpayers Association, and you have an opportunity to come to that. We do have our board meetings on the first Saturday of every month over at the Small Planet Deli at I think that's Staples and Saratoga at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, first Saturday. Now we won't have one in May because we had this large membership meeting so late, but starting, I think it's on June the 3rd, we will have a board meeting. Everyone's welcome to that. Small Planet Deli, Saratoga, at Staples at 2 o'clock. Okay. Now, some of the things we talked about were the city's ADA compliance or non-compliance. I did find out that since Mr. Joe McComb was there yesterday, that he was the one that was instrumental after all of our fussing about the palm trees in the middle of the sidewalk over on Airline between SPID and McCardle. Then I guess he's the one that approached AEP, and they're the ones that took that out. Nobody would, really discuss that, who did what or when. And then he and Councilwoman Guajardo are the two that were instrumental in finally paying attention to our pleading to help the ADA people, Americans with Disabilities Act, to be able to go down there and not in, as Mr. Risley said, the esteemed city attorney, just go in the parking lot. There's plenty of room up there. And I guess what we need to do is hope that he never winds up in a wheelchair or on a walker or something, but if he does, I hope he'll change his mind on his relative flippant manner in which he addresses ADA compliance. And then Jack Gordy also gave us an update on the Highway Beautification Act, federal, state, and local, and how that he had to call in the Department of Transportation to take a look at the illegal signs that were up all over the place, both residual political signs and everything. Miraculously, when TxDOT scheduled a meeting down here the week before, code enforcement and I think a lot of the police officers and all went and took down 150 illegal signs minimum, and no one was fined for those. So I've got nothing but disdain for our code enforcement around here. They're horrible. It's despicable, and they'd rather go pick on a poor little old lady that can't cut her grass rather than take care of business around here, the violations. And by the way, if you get over to Air Street in Tarleton, there's another ADA non-compliant piece of sidewalk there. There's a big pole that houses a street light over there, and it's sitting right in the way. We've informed the city. Now, I will say that Marjorie Rose, our fairly new city manager, was there. She gave us some very, very interesting information about all of her efforts to converse with the taxpayers and find out what our concerns are. I haven't seen that since 1989 when I moved to town. The city managers have always been very aloof and not very taxpayer friendly. Didn't want us to know anything, and they worked with legal down there to hold out information and not give us diddly about anything. And then Mr. Gordy said that he'd been here since, I think, the mid-1970s, and he made the statement that he's never seen such a good city manager than Mrs. Rose. So anyway, my hat's off to her also. So please keep up with the number of meetings she has to ask you taxpayers out there what the problems are. She's a very interested person, and this is just a new face on city management. Okay, it's been marvelous, and I hope it will continue to be such. Okay, I did get all over one of our Board of Regents members, and then he made the offhand statement. I am completely and still completely against that South Campus for Del Mar College out at Rod Field in Yorktown, and they've done it anyway. I did bring up to him my angst and so forth with all of the people that have contributed money, big money, to that. And then I find out for the advertising to push that Southside campus for you voters out there. And then I found out it's mostly architects, engineers, and contractors around here of various types, building contractors and so forth, that supported that it's called Del Mar Works. I got 3 of the circulars in my mail at the house. And, I find that very, very despicable, since a lot of those people are making hundreds of thousands of dollars now from Del Mar College and pulling money out of those bonds that you people elected and approved for that Southside campus, and then the $157 million for East and West campus upgrades. Now, I mentioned to that regent, Mr. Gabe Rivas, and don't get me wrong, I have nothing against Mr. Rivas except he's I think mostly, I won't say uninformed, but he is a great believer in all of the blather that's put out by the president of the Board of Regents at Del Mar, the banker who claimed to be a CPA, and he's not. And you know, we've had enough of that around here lately with politicians. Mr. Trey McCampbell, but he buys into that blather and the blather that we need that campus. Now, I asked him, with the numbers being flat for 20 years in enrollment around here, in fact, if you take a look at full-time students, the number has gone down. We now count the dual credit students from all the outlying areas around here as Del Mar students. And I said, well, where did y'all come up with when Mr. Rick Spurl of Channel 6 reported when I blew the whistle on him? I said the 50,133 enrollments for, I think it was 2016. Now, he got a little bit uppity with me and said that that was not a real news story. It shouldn't have been on there because it was only wound up being broadcast on one news station. Now, I mean, folks, when people bend the numbers like that to make it sound like we're just flooded with students over there, I mean, that's total insanity. That's being totally dishonest with you taxpayers. And since I've been a faculty member over there for 30 some odd years, and or almost 30 years now, and you know, my heart is all for students. That's the reason I'm over there. And this administrative bloat that's been going on serves nothing good for Del Mar College and you taxpayers, except borrowing more and more and more money and putting out the word that we're bursting at the seams with students over there, which we're not. I could go through any building, class building, and I have done that so lately, and there are many of them that don't have classes going in there for 2 and 3, you know, sessions at a time. So we're not bursting at the seams, and then we're about ready to put up an enormously large office and classroom complex on East Campus, and they're building more stuff out there on West. So, you know, how can we justify $500 million Southside campus in the end? But all Mr. Rivas would say is, well, we're looking at the future 5 years down the road. Well, if it's been flat for 20 years or better, sir, then, you know, unfortunately, I guess for them, and fortunately for me, it's helped me tremendously in my lifetime. When I decided to switch from engineering student as a freshman at Tulane University in New Orleans and go to a smaller private school in Montgomery, Alabama. You can look it up. It's Huntingdon D-O-N College in Montgomery, Alabama, and look up their statistics and you know, their ratings. And I decided I'd go into chemistry, and then I fell in love with biology while I was doing that. And I won't tell you how or why, because the biology chair there didn't like me worth a toot. But anyway, I got both degrees, or both majors on my degrees. Well, I had to take a lot of math and a lot of physics in order to get through the chemistry. Now, I appreciate the math and the physics and so forth. It goes a long way to help me understand what's basic about scientific research, particularly in the chemical, biochemical, and microbiological fields, and throw in the toxicology. Now, in graduate school, I finished up a master's and a PhD with both majors, biochem and micro, and I had biological statistics at a very high level, differential equations and other types of math. So what I try to do is base things on the facts and then formulate my opinions based on the facts. Now, the facts are, if we haven't had more than 12,000 students, many of which are not full-timers, okay, at Del Mar College, then how in the world can we justify a 20,000 student complex in 5 years out here on the south side? I mean, you know, and you voted in $157 million 2 or 3 years ago to build new facilities on East and West campuses, and then to improve the Northwest Center. So I don't know what to say, folks, but mathematically, this just baffles the hell out of me. I don't know where they're coming up with these numbers. I don't know what hat they're pulling them out of, or whatever, or wherever they're pulling them from. But it just doesn't make any difference. It doesn't make any sense to me. But to have the contributors pushing that for you fine folks out there with all these fancy circulars, and then find out that one of the architects kicked in $5,000 for that circular, and in November walked away with a $469,000 check to his company, I think that ought to tell you something. And that was just, I think, for the $157 million bond that you did for the other campus. So Lord knows how much we're going to do. And then our coordinating architects, just under $300,000 in 3 months. I mean, something stinks here, folks, and I'm going to get to the bottom of it. And then as far as the city goes, like I say, City Manager Rose put on, I mean, she was very sincere. I won't say she put on an act, but she informed us of some very important matters that are coming up with her going out and asking the public. So, I don't remember Del Mar College ever asking me what I thought of Southside Campus. They knew from the shows, but, they never asked me. And I've been there for, like I say, 28, 29 years or so. And I've dedicated my life to Del Mar College student education. And as somebody asked me the other day, well, with your research background and all, couldn't you be making a whole lot more money with a pharmaceutical company or, private consulting? And I said yes. But I said when I retired and moved to Del Mar College that many years ago, and it's hard for me to believe I've been there that long, then sure, I want to help you out there, citizens, because I am one, and taxpayers because I am one, and I love this community, and I just want to help provide some of the best medical attention that you can get. I do the micro students, which are predominantly allied health students. I do a majors class once a year, and I get the pre-pharmacy students, pre-meds, pre-dent, pre-vet, and the biology majors, people that want to go into biological research and help you out, both environmentally and, into the healthcare professions and drug testing and that type of stuff, drug development in a pharmaceutical company, then that's what it's all about. And I keep preaching this, and one of these days somebody's going to pay attention to me. Now, with this bloated administration, and I've harped on that before. You can go into YouTube and look at my past shows when I really get down on that. Then what concerns me is that as far as I'm concerned as a professional educator, okay, and a former professional researcher with lots of grant money and project money from private industry that I had to conduct, and I hired a lot of people to do that of various degrees and fields, then all I need is an administration that can provide me with what I need as a faculty member, an instructor over there, a professor, to provide my students with the very best education that I can give them. I don't need all this ancillary stuff, folks, all this fluff and fluff and fluff. And then we're backing over there a couple of my fellow faculty members in my department that have got these fluff, as far as I'm concerned, totally useless research projects going at the freshman, first year or first semester freshman students, and they don't understand diddly about the basics of biology or chemistry. And here they're being wooed, and I'm being slandered and libeled by those people saying that, us traditional professors are substandard, and why would they want to have those students that they can get excited in their, quote, research classes, and why should they get in, pass those on to somebody that's going to go ahead and discourage those students. Now that's a hell of a thing to say, and they've published that in public journals and so forth, public information. So I'm getting ready to rip a few holes in that one, folks. It just infuriates me. And you know, when those students come out of those classes, I'll be the first one to tell you they can't use a microscope. They don't know the basics of the lab techniques. And then when I did a toxicology study in my major's biology class, 3 of them, I think 2 pre-meds and another biology major, didn't know how to find a kidney in a mouse after the 8 hours that they took of basic biology. First cell molecular course, and then the next one is the diversity class. And in there they do dissect animals. But according to these 2, the dissection of animals is just blasphemy. It's terrible. You know, we got to go in and hunt for viruses, and then not even tell our students not to come out of the laboratories with protective gloves on and wander down the halls and eat donuts and sip stuff and go into bathrooms and open other doors and transport, you know, tissue cultures up and down the hall with their gloves on. And then, you know, Del Mar College security, when I asked for verification from a video security camera that was going on Fridays when these 2 were not around to take care of their laboratories, and I also asked for the who is supposed to be the instructor of record. Are we going to have students in there teaching labs and doing lab work on unsupervised on Fridays and the weekends? Then, you know, that's privileged information. I can't get that. It's my safety, folks, you know, and I'm going to go down screaming with that one. But that's our Del Mar College chief security person over there said, no, you can't do that. And then when I asked about the camera of the young lady walking down the hall with an arm full of tissue culture bottles, they said, well, we can't give you that. You're imposing on her personal security and, you know, her welfare and well-being. It's not public that she's on a public camera walking down the hall and doing exactly what I said they were doing, and then they denied it. Okay? So I don't know what to tell you, except it's a mess over there. And then I did ask Mr. Rivas about, you know, why we have such miserable custodial service over there and groundskeeping. Oh, well, it's just great. Everything's fine. I said, no, it's not. I said, when I first got there, I was told by this custodial service out of, I think, Ohio, that all the custodians that they were going to hire to come in after they fired all the full-timers with benefits and stuff to save money is what they say. I can't see that you're saving money with, you know, $85,000-$90,000 a month in custodial fees. And none of the custodians over there are full-timers. They're all part-timers, and they're frozen at minimum wage. So that's not doing the public any good, and you know, our citizens here that would love to work for Del Mar College and the ones that were fired from the grounds and the custodial service unceremoniously. Okay? And none of the regents over there say they backed that. Well, how did it happen? It's got to be a consensus of the Board of Regents. But anyway, when I asked about all that, and I said, well, you remember I had to clean my own lab, mop and wax it and take care of it, scrub it down every day for 3 years because Del Mar College would not send me a letter of indemnification in case one of the untrained part-time minimum wage custodians went in there and got into an acid spill or something blew up or something. You know, I mean, these local personal injury attorneys that had me up a tree, and without an indemnification from Del Mar and their insurance company. And then Mr. Rivas says, oh, well, you know, the word was out, you just were cleaning that up because you wanted to clean your own lab. Sure, that's what I want to do, folks, is go over there and teach 2 overload classes with labs, work my butt off for Del Mar College and that administration and that Board of Regents, and then go over there and have to spend a couple hours a day cleaning up my laboratory. Yeah, I really, that's what I really wanted to do, Mr. Rivas. You know, I almost fell over when you said that yesterday. So, you know, the lies and stuff, and then I'm lied about by my department chair, and I'm lied about by my dean, and I'm slandered by my vice president of instruction / provost, and the beat goes on. And now, you know, there are board members over there that can't stand the fact that I've got enough backbone to stand up and say, hey, you know, these are the problems. I'm a taxpayer, I'm a citizen, I'm a human being, and I don't appreciate your treatment. So Anyway, I know I got off on a little tear there, but let's see what else is going on around here. I'm going to film for a while longer, and then I'm going to take off and show you some more streets. Like I say, it was very, very curious that when I did all the trees and stuff over there at Louisiana and Swantner, you couldn't see people were going to get killed over there, and I went ahead and said, okay, I'm going to sign a check, and it's in my office if anybody gets hurt over there, because they can't see traffic running traffic lights over there, which is frequent. Then just take that check that I've signed and put your name on it as the beneficiary, and then make it out for one of the personal injury attorneys around here, and write in the initial down payment, and I'll get you started with the lawsuit. And then all of a sudden, after that show aired, then a week or so later, all that rubble and bushes came down, and it was cleaned up. Then I've raised hell about no stripes on the highways or the roads. Pardon me, down Santa Fe and or Ocean, I use those frequently. And then all of a sudden, a couple of days or a week or so after that show aired, I'll get it right, then they were out there striping those two streets. It's miraculous. So I'm glad that somebody's paying attention downtown. And then we had, on the 29th of April, mayoral candidates show extremes in newest finance reports. It gives the financial reports on who's doing what with whom. Okay, Martinez spent the most with almost $55,000 in expenditures, while McComb reported the most contributions at about $25,000. And then people like DiCarlo had not filed a report as of 5 o'clock. I think he's using his own money. And then several others said that they were not going to accept more than $500 total in contributions, so they're not under the same timeline as the rest of them. I'm not sure I understand that, but I do know that's where I got the information on who contributed to Mr. Trey McCampbell's bid for re-election to the Del Mar College Board of Regents. He is the chair, and that was very interesting to see that even people with Del Mar College administration and so forth paid money to have him reelected. Okay, now I can't say that that's illegal, but I do think it's unethical. But that's neither here nor there. And then Mr. Rivas, I said, I found it incredible that we have that Del Mar Works thing went out with all the people that contributed to that. And then he said, well, they as citizens, they can push the Southside campus. And I said, well, I couldn't as a Del Mar College employee, so why did the president? Oh, well, the president didn't do that. I said, well, okay. He's obviously either trying to cover somebody's butt over there, or he doesn't pay attention to what's said and done at what meetings. Turnout for early voting for mayor is booming. They said that we have 8,065 voters have cast ballot in the race, and thus far, this was on today's Caller Times on the 30th, and it said during the 2016 primary election, about 8,038 voters had cast their ballots by the end of the same period. So we've got a banner voting, and I don't know how many registered voters are in Nueces County and in the city that can go with the mayoral election. But, out of 300 and something thousand residents, I would say that maybe 40,000 would be an educated guess. Maybe I'm wrong. But if you look at 8,000 people out of 40,000 and call that a great turnout, then all I can say is taxpayers out there, citizens of Corpus Christi, Texas, you get what you deserve, okay? And as I told somebody yesterday at that meeting, I said, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. And that's what my father preached to me and my mother for years. So they said, if you don't want the same old crap, then go do something else and shape up. Downtown vacancy rules weighed. This is an attempt by the city council to clean up some of the boarded up buildings down there. It's a ghost town in the downtown area. It is being rebuilt to a certain degree now. All the streets are torn up for months and months and months, and so forth and so on. And then the editorial today was improving downtown standards with care. City must show respect, caution, and encouraging property owners. So, you know, they do have the individual rights down there as a property owner, but, you know, once again, we'll see what happens down there, okay? And it's a crime that, you know, this economy in this town is not that great. I don't know how many people that are working as laborers on some of these big M&G Vonal Peace Day, and now we got Exxon coming in. You know, that's going to be a debacle and a half. But, you know, they can't afford to live downtown in the premium property. So where are they going to go? Why are we going to do all this big business downtown and still annex all this property around for our builder buddies to go out there and make fortunes by taking people from the downtown area and the established community around here, the neighborhoods, and put them out there in these new track homes out there. I mean, it's incredible. Then there's another one here. A bill puts limit on seeking state info. People would be given 60 days to collect documents. This is something that's near and dear to my heart, which is Public Information Act request, which is the Freedom of Information nationally. It's the Texas Public Information Act, which guarantees that I can get files and information from publicly funded things like the city and Del Mar College and the state, you know, and the county and CCISD and so forth. And they've made it a game at Del Mar College. I remember once when I joined, asked for information with a friend of mine, and they said, well, when you cough up, I think it was $26.8 million or $27.8 million, we'll give it to you. And then after 6 months of wrangling, they settled with that, and the information that we asked for cost us absolutely zero. Okay? So this is the type of thing when you get these attorneys involved, and we're paying such a high price at Del Mar College and the city for outside attorneys, then it's criminal, folks. Okay? And then it says bill puts limit on seeking state info. Here we go, a bunch of politicians who are mostly attorneys. They don't want the public to know what's going on. Okay? They want to be able to hide behind all this rigmarole and not tell you where your money's going or why it's going there or anything else about it. Okay? So I'm not over with that one. And it says fate of key transparency bills is uncertain. This is from Dennis Badgett, Executive Vice President for Texas Press Association. See, the press uses that too. And the reason that information comes out of Del Mar College, which is unflattering for them, is because we have a press corps around here, particularly one of the news channels, TV channels, that doesn't mind going over there and going after that. And sometimes they're stifled. But, you know, as a tax-paying member of the faculty at Del Mar College, then they try to cover my stuff up. And then they're going to blame things on the freedom of students to have their academic records sealed up so that they you know, their social security numbers and grades and stuff don't come out. It's called the FERPA laws through the Department of Justice. And I had a student that filed a grievance against me after he had threatened me in public forum, and I wouldn't have him back in my class. And then he filed a grievance, I guess the day after he got mad at me, scared the hell out of a couple of women up there in the office with his annex. And, you know, I was accused of violating his rights and discriminating against him because he was a veteran of the armed services. But I never did get a copy of the grievance that he filed against me. we have a vice president over there who's vice president of, I don't know, popcorn popping, underwater basket weaving, and student something or other over there. He went after me with an investigation, said I did not violate the person's, veteran rights and so forth and so on, but there were other things that cropped up that they were concern of Del Mar College. So they pursued that. I said, I want a copy of the damn grievance that the man filed against me early in the game. Oh no, well under his FERPA rights you can't have that. I don't have my right to face my accuser and to find out what's being said about me. Okay? So we'll see what happens with that one. But I guarantee you, Del Mar College and that vice president over there, this ain't over with. Okay? Then we have sharing Bayfront with best friends is a perfect use, and then letters to the editor attached to that is just a dog park and an excellent idea. So we've got somebody that donated, I think it was $126,000 to put a dog park down there at the Bayfront Park, and now they want to change the name. It used to be Destination Bayfront when the president of Del Mar College Board of Regents was in charge and pushing $44 million bond to go down there, and after they ripped the Coliseum down and sued me for a whole bunch of money, saying that I had impeded the teardown of a very significant, important architectural structure. Ladies and gentlemen, and that suit, I guess, is still pending, according to Mr. Risley down there. They're gonna reopen that. That was that brilliant Carlos Valdez that did that. He can't read a contract. He was our district attorney around here, and then retired with a big stipend and moved in as the city attorney with the city of Corpus Christi. Then he retired with that one, and now, bless Mark Skirka's heart, he came after Mr. Valdez as district attorney. He was one that the attorneys, defense attorneys loathed. But anyway, so he put Sol Carlos back in as assistant DA, and that's exactly what we need, is a man that can't read a contract and understand it. And if he does, he's not telling the truth about things. So there you go, Mr. Skirka and Mr. Carlos Valdez. So why don't you keep coming after me? I'll keep waiting. You file a lawsuit just because the Attorney General's, the 13th Court of Appeal said that you had no right to do that. It shouldn't have upset you. You had a right to go to the Texas Supreme Court and prove the 13th Court and the five of us, friends of the Coliseum, wrong. But I guess you must have run out of steam or backbone to do that. So, now we've got you as assistant DA. Good Lord, you wouldn't even prosecute people at Del Mar that were stealing money at one time, because we don't do white-collar crimes in the city of Corpus Christi. It wasn't because the people that had the dubious things going over there were your best buds, was it? Okay. This is quite a town, folks. I love it. I really do. I don't mean that in a derogatory manner and not sleight of hand or anything else. I love this community, and I'm going to keep stirring it and blowing the whistle as long as I can. Just make sure that your hitman's a good one there, guys. And I don't want to suffer too long. Bayfront to get a dog park for Barks. Okay, now that's a real snazzy thing to say, isn't it? Okay, so that's what we need down there on Premium Bayfront, is a dog park. Okay, and then what we've got in the mayor's race, the editorial that came out on the 23rd from the Caller Times, they pick people they want to see over there. It says Martinez the best choice for mayor. Folks, like I say, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you always got. So I think we need a change downtown. And it doesn't need to be Dan McQueen costing us hundreds of thousands of dollars for elections and so forth. And then it says the city of Portland is committed to balancing the demands of growth. This was by David Krebs. He's the mayor of Portland, and he's all for that cracking plant coming in. The big one over there, the the Exxon Mobil and Saudi Arabian group. We've got M&G Plastics from out of country here that can't pay their bills, starving the workers who worked their butts off over there, and they couldn't get back to their homes. And and then we've got voestalpine, who's over there badgering people with all the pollution, air, light pollution and air pollution and everything else under the sun. So I don't know what to tell you, folks. It's a frazzling mess around here. And then, yes, the port makes plans, but didn't plan ExxonMobil moves. This is Richard Bowers, is a member of the Port of Corpus Christi Board of Commissioners. So he's saying that, they came in here, I guess, of their own free accord, and, now they're going to go over there and pollute the hell out of Gregory Portland, and probably all the way into Ingleside and into, I'm sure it'll be a danger here in Corpus Christi, Texas, if we get the winds just right, and something over there blows up, or they leak all those toxic gases and stuff. Sounds like an equal boondoggle to Las Brisas Energy Center. And folks, I'm not bragging, but I spent 7 years of my life and a whole lot of my personal money and energy and emotions, and we finally proved to the state of Texas, much to the dismay of Rick Perry, who's now our energy guru. I'm amazed at this country these days, folks. All of my ancestors that fought since the Revolutionary War for my freedom to speak, all the way up through my father, they're rolling in their graves, folks, at what this country's turned into. Okay, we've got to politicize everything. We come up with the new phrase, environmental racism. We can't get people out of harm's way over there, but we come up with all these wild-ass terms, and the Clean Economy Coalition is now, preaching that stuff too. So I'm glad I'm out of it, and I've told appropriate people that. I'm just sick and tired of everything being politicized. And, if you don't believe in their political views, then you're a scumbag, okay? And this country is in, as far as I'm concerned, it's about like the Civil War, with the two political parties challenging one another. What happened to the common good? I mean, seriously, folks. What happened to take care of, honor thy mother and father, and take care of thy neighbor, and, do the right thing? But it's a mess these days, folks. So all I try to do is help people out, and I've had that shoved up my nose too. But make them uncomfortable and fearful. It's just I'm a terrible guy. I know I am, but I'm not going to shut up out there, ladies and gentlemen. So whatever it takes that you need to talk about. Okay, but that's that Exxon Mobil plant over there that's going to be a friggin' disaster. Nueces County DA talks about his new role. I don't know Mr. Gonzalez very well. I do know Mark Skirka very well, and I'm glad that he is not there. Again, I'd like to put the pox on him for submitting Carlos Valdez as the assistant DA, and all I can say, Mr. Gonzalez, as our new district attorney, good luck with that clown. Okay. But anyway, we'll see what happens on that. I'll keep up with it. But there's some good things in here that the DA says. We're so far behind with prosecuting people. Then this is what's in the paper. It's just the tail end of it. It's worth repeating. Says the programs also allow more time and resources for violent crimes, which Gonzalez said is a priority. Okay, no, let me back up. Since January, Gonzalez said the office has raised more than $220,000 through programs that allow offenders in certain cases, like marijuana possession and retail theft, to avoid trial by paying fines and making taking offender courses. The program also allows more time and resources for violent crimes, which Gonzalez said is his priority. People who need to go to prison will be going to prison. But if you have your first-time college kid or small first offense offender They need to learn their lesson and move on and never come back, Gonzalez said. Some attendees remained skeptical of his leadership and said they'd heard there were cases he dismissed that had enough evidence to prosecute. They echoed criticism, Gonzalez said he heard and he wants to address. Okay. If you don't tell me what your concerns are, I don't know what's important, what your priority is, Gonzalez said. Well, if they don't tell you, sir, then, but, everything around here that's political like that is one constant battle. Everything is politicized. You can't do your job, okay? I mean, even what I do over there, people want to politicize that, and say he's just makes me uncomfortable and fearful. All right, now, we have what I think is one of the biggest wastes of money and time that's been created at Del Mar in a long time, and there have been a lot of them, okay? And I think this came out April 28th, must have been Friday. The Del Mar College Viking mascot is revealed to students and faculty Thursday at Del Mar College East, and it shows a picture of this Viking with the big orange beard and blue colors, the orange and blue for Del Mar. And I'm just appalled by this. They spent money for this, and they hired a guy that's going to go around and prance around the high schools and water parks, I guess, and everything else around here with that silly-looking mascot uniform on. And they actually paid money for this, okay? And one of the people that's involved in this was that underwater basket weaving vice president, popcorn popper, and investigator, and what I consider to be a slanderer of me. He's involved with this. So, that doesn't surprise me. I mean, these guys are making, $150,000 plus over there, and they've been raised from directors to vice presidents so that they can get more money, salary, because nobody gets a raise over there for years and years. They say that faculty and staff got a small one not long ago, and it is small, folks. But we went with net incomes over there from $5 to $12 million a year. That's surplus money. You should be zeroing that out. And oh, by the way, Mr. Rivas said today that goes into the contingency fund by state mandate. Only 1.5% has to go into that every year. I found out, Mr. Rivas. So I think what you need to do is go over there and ask that CPA that's up up on all the latest with that, and about what's going on, because your president over there, Mr. McCampbell, is not a CPA, although he preached he was and then had to apologize with tears in his eyes. And that was also on a station that reported the fallacy in 50,133 enrollments. Mr. Rivas. So, I think it deserves to be on all the TV stations, just because some of them aren't conscientious enough to go out and get the news and report it in a timely manner. That doesn't mean that the one station that does is, derelict, and that their news isn't worth publishing. I couldn't believe it when he said that in the middle of a public meeting. And you should have seen the eyes rolling, folks. I went to that man's business years ago and supported him in his run for the Board of Regents. Okay, and he's been on there ever since. And I have no personal animosity to him. I just wish he would get his brain out of that little vacuum they've got over there, that propaganda vacuum by our public relations person over there that preaches 50,133 enrollments, trying to muddy the water. And then that provided Mr. Rick Spurl at Channel 6 with the what was that? The AP, the Associated Press award, and for one of his news publications. He uncovered that, so he won Associated Press award for that. But Mr. Rivas, it really wasn't that really shouldn't have been on the public airways, I guess. Okay, now, Del Mar College. The college maintains its accounts and prepares its financial statements in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles in the United States of America, GAAP, as set forth by the Governmental and Financial Accounting Standards Boards, the GASB and the FASB, National Association of College and University Business Officers, the NACUBO, and the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board, which is the THECB. The financial records of the college are maintained on the accrual basis of accounting, whereby all revenues are recorded when earned and all expenditures are recorded when incurred. Okay? That's why I can't get certain information under Public Information Act request, I guess. The college's financial statements are prepared using the Economic Resources Measurement Focus. The notes to the financial statements expand on and explain the financial statements and the accounting principles applied. Profile of the college. Del Mar College District is a political subdivision under the state of Texas located in Nueces County. The college was founded in 1935 under the control of the Board of Trustees of Corpus Christi Independent School District and started in borrowed classrooms with 154 students in the first class. In 1951, the college became an independent political subdivision, legally Corpus Christi Junior College District. In 1999, the Board of Regents adopted Del Mar College District as the official name of the institution. The Del Mar College service area is comprised of Nueces, Aransas, San Patricio counties, and parts of Clayburgh and Kennedy counties. Well, why aren't those people paying taxes if their students come over here? The students have to pay out of district tuition and so forth because they're not in a tax-paying district that pays taxes to support Del Mar College. So I'm going to have to go back and take a look at that. The Del Mar service area is comprised of, I guess the district is not comprised of that, but the service area. And I hear through the grapevine that Coastal Bend College, which I have no faith in whatsoever up in Beeville, that president is, I can't say it on the air, but now all these outlying dual credit schools and stuff want to use Del Mar College and have us send our people out there, and they're paying a third of the normal tuition for a student. Does that make you feel comfortable, taxpayers? But I think Del Mar College will probably do that because then they can add these people that never come to class on campus, and they count them as enrollments, and they count them as students, okay, enrollment. So, all I can say out there, ladies and gentlemen, is you're being duped. But this new mascot, I need to go see that, okay? Now, I'd hate to tell them what my ancestry was, although they know. It was about 800 when my ancestors left Norway in longboats, I'm sure, with Viking helmets on, although I understand they really didn't wear those with the horns on them. I don't know. I'm not that much of a historian. And went into what is now Scotland and started building condos back in, I guess it was 800s, and then migrated into this country in the late 1600s, early 1700s, and fought every battle that we've had in this country on both sides of my family, moms and dads, since the Revolutionary War. And they wonder why I don't mind exercising my freedom of speech. And as the Neville brothers put it, that very famous Aaron Neville and his brothers, the singing group out of New Orleans, they've got a song that says, "It's freedom of speech as long as you don't say too much." Okay? Now, I'll end it with this at Del Mar College. Last show I went over there and filmed the trash and stuff, the poor condition of the campus. Mr. Gabe Rivas told me yesterday that they were working on things, and that the money's there now, and we're going to see improvements of that. I'll believe it when I see it, okay? But I do have a real severe problem with fellow faculty members, I'm going to repeat this, that are over there making slanderous and libelous remarks. Slander is verbal, which they do all the time. They tell their students what pieces of trash us traditional faculty members are over there. And if I need to go prove that with some of the students, faculty and staff and administration at Del Mar College, I'll be glad to go interview those students that pass that information on to me. And then I know that it's in print, and they put out publications from the National Research System and you know, the AAAS, which I think is the American Association for the Advancement of Science, and then the USDA. We've got a $250,000 greenhouse over there that's smaller than my living room in my house, okay? And there's not a thing growing in there except a weed over on the side, and it's a sprig of Johnson grass that's not doing real well in there. The exhaust fan motors are still running with nothing in there. I don't know why we're burning that much electricity. And one of them has a bearing problem over there, and it'll probably go ahead and go on fire. I don't think it'll burn much because it's hard to take glass and cinder block and burn too much up there, and metal tables in there. But I'm sure it'll do some damage. And, you know, we can't get the grass cut over there around the biology garden. Poor biology teacher is up to her knees in grass trying to get out and show the biology students how to raise plants in gardens and so forth. That's part of the general biology curriculum. And then we don't, we don't subscribe to the curriculum that the Texas Higher Education people say, Education Board. And so, you know, what can I say except it's very poor over there. But the elite run the place, okay, because they go out and apply for these grants and this kind of stuff. And, you know, they're doing research, they say, over there, and it's not really research. So anyway, I've just got a few seconds left. I hear somebody's calling me on the telephone, and I'll get a hold of them in just a few minutes. I'm down to about 2 minutes. So I'm just going to say, please call me and let me know what's going on. And, you know, if you've got any questions or whatever, I'm going to put the banner back up here next to these beautiful roses to Lynn and April 23. And I'll be back for the next show. So I'm just going to let the clock run out. It may end a little bit early, but we'll see what happens. But keep an eye on that mascot over there, and, you know, call your Board of Regents members at Del Mar. They're spending a hell of a lot of money over there, and you know, not getting too far down the road as far as I'm concerned. They don't have any respect for faculty members, and for the staff over there, the staff members have to suffer and cower around. So, you know, just voice your opinion, and then call your city council members and say, we want some of these streets fixed. And I guess the next thing that the dud over there at Channel 6 is going to report is all these streets that are supposed to be under repair that aren't. So I guess Del Mar College Regents, you know, Mr. Rivas will have a few words to say that wasn't newsworthy, since he's the only one that probably put it on TV. So the beat goes on. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the camera off. I'll put the banner back up, and then I'll be right with you. Okay? Yeah, I was doing the last minute of the show. Who's that? Oh, really? How did you do that? Well, he's on. Oh yeah, yeah, right. Like he's yeah. You know. Oh, he doesn't. He's just being Ed.